Okay, so I've never told anyone this story before, but I figured this would be a good place to get it out of my system. This is one of the scariest nights of my life, and it still makes me scared to drive alone at night. The only person in my real life who knows this story is one of my older brothers, who was there after everything went down. So to preface this story, I'm currently a 21-year-old female, and I live in Ohio. At the time this story takes place, I was moving from a very well-known suburb outside of a main city to a rural farming town with my family. My parents have never been the city type, as they had both grown up on farms in the South during their childhoods, and our whole family had lived in similar areas until I was about to enter high school, so you can understand how itchy they were to get back to their roots. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. I have 3 older brothers, and I was the last to finish required schooling. So the summer after I graduated from high school, my parents decided this was a good opportunity for a change of scenery because I was no longer tied down to a school district. The town that we were moving to was only around 45 minutes away, and instead of moving everything all at once and overwhelming ourselves with a full house of boxes, we were moving to a house about half the size of the one that we'd been living in. My parents opted to have us move a chunk of our things every day, or every few days for about 2 to 3 weeks, in hopes that it would be easier for us to get settled into our new house. The majority of the drive between the 2 towns is through main highways, and is pretty much a straight shot, so I had become very used to the routine drive after a while. That's why this night was so terrifying, because I had literally made this drive nearly 50 times, and I was so comfortable that my guard was let down completely. I'm a pretty small girl, around 5'3" and about 140 pounds. And even though my dad taught me self-defense when I was younger, I'm the kind of person who freezes during confrontation or under pressure. Annoying, I know. So it's a miracle I made it out of this whole thing safely. This night, I had decided to visit some old friends from the neighborhood that we were moving from. And because I was already down the street from my old house, I decided to stop by on my way back to our new house to pack some things to take back with me. I can't exactly remember what time it was. I'm pretty sure it was around 10 or 11 p.m. But regardless, it was already very dark outside. Now, even though Ohio is a northern state with pretty brutal winters, in recent years, the summers have been basically sweltering, even at night. I can also get a little car sick in the heat, with all the muggy air getting trapped in the car. And at the time, my AC was pretty shitty and never really worked right, so I usually drove with my windows down. As I said, it was pretty late, so there were really no other cars on the road with me. I had maybe seen about 10 cars during the whole drive. When I made it a little over halfway on the second main highway I had to take, there was an intersection with a gas station on my right, and nothing but a river and a bridge on the left. It was a 4-lane, 2-way road, and I happened to be in the rightmost lane because of a turn I had to make further up the road. This might seem like useless information now, but it'll be important later. I hadn't initially felt off in any way, because again, I had made this drive dozens of times. I pulled up to a red light at this intersection, and I was playing some pop-punk music with my left arm out of my open driver's side window. I hadn't noticed at first, but as I was waiting for the light to change, another car had pulled up into the left lane next to me. Looking back now, I don't remember the make of the car. It might have been a Dodge Charger, but I do remember that it was bright orange, with a thick black stripe across the top of it. I was singing along to whatever song I had on at the time when I heard talking next to me. It wasn't so much that I heard them specifically talking about or to me or anything, but they were talking quite loudly, and I have ADHD, so the extra noise above the sound of my music made me turn my head. I regretted it immediately, because when I looked to the source of the noise, I saw a man sticking his head out of the passenger side window, staring right at me and smiling widely. The look in his eyes made me want to throw up. Apparently, he had been talking to me. I turned back quickly, knowing that if I kept eye contact any longer, he would think I was interested in chatting. Then I heard the sound of a hand hitting hollow metal. The guy in the car next to mine was smacking his hand on the outside of his car door, obviously trying to get my attention again. In the middle of all this, the front passenger started to whistle. You know, that signature whistle that a lot of girls get while walking down the street. I started to get angry because I wasn't a fucking dog, but I kept my gaze forward, praying for the light to change so I could get away from these creeps. Now, I know it sounds ridiculous that we're still sitting here at this red light, but the town that I had been passing through had really old and shitty light sensors, like the ones you have to back up and pull forward again to set off. And again, there hadn't really been anyone else on the road to set them off, because there weren't even cars coming perpendicular to us either. I hadn't given them any indication that I wanted to talk to them, but apparently this gave them more incentive to continue trying to get me to look back at them. The front passenger and the two other voices all piped up, saying things like,
"Hey baby, why don't you get out and hop in the car? We'll show you a good time tonight. Come on, pull over to the gas station. We're not going to hurt you. Why won't you talk to us? We just want to get to know you, beautiful."
At that point, I'm shaking, and it hurt enough, so I roll up my window and lock the doors of my car. Well, this had apparently pissed the front passenger off, because before the window was up, I heard him shout, "Fucking bitch," before swinging his car door open. Before I knew it, he had gotten out of his car and walked over to the passenger door behind me, trying to pull it open to get inside my car. This is why the specifics of my location were so important. I was basically trapped because if I tried to get out to go run to the gas station, or God forbid I had to run and cross the bridge on my left side, I would have to pass this car and the man outside mine to get there. Obviously getting out of the car and running wouldn't be my best bet here, but at this point, I was so terrified. I was trying to weigh out all of my options. I know now would have been the best time to get the fuck out of there, but I'm literally paralyzed in fear. Again, confrontation freaks me out. And I can't even feel my feet to hit the gas, and my hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard, I couldn't feel them either. The man quickly realized he wouldn't be able to get in, and walked up to my window, starting to smack a fully open palm on the glass. He was hitting so hard that I actually thought I heard the glass creak, like it was going to crack and break in. When I still wouldn't look over at him, he stopped hitting the glass just long enough to spit all over my window. I have no idea what gave me the strength. Maybe it was the fact that he was literally about to break the glass and get into my car, but right as he lifted his arm, in what looked like him about to elbow my window, I said fuck it, hit the gas, running the red light, and definitely exceeding the speed limit to get the hell out of there. I don't know what made me look back, but when I glanced up at my rearview mirror, I saw that all three guys were now standing outside of the car. In one of their hands, I saw a small object, and to be quite honest, I don't even want to begin to think about what it might have been. I almost threw up from anxiety and pretty much cried the whole way home. My parents own a restaurant and are usually working late, so when I got home, my older brother was the only one there. He did his best to calm me down, but I don't think I slept at all that night. It's quite irrational because I know they hadn't followed me further than the light, but I even locked my bedroom door just to make me feel a little better. I regret not getting a license plate when I looked back, but as you can understand, I was so shaken up, I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I've never had an encounter like that again in that area. But granted, I found an alternative route through side streets, so I usually avoid that road altogether. Creepy-ass dudes who tried to kidnap me. I hope we never fucking meet again. My boyfriend was operated on his foot a few days prior, so he was still walking on crutches. We wanted to go to the city center to hang out with friends and get some drinks, but since cycling wasn't an option because of the crutches, we live in the Netherlands, so basically we use our bicycles for everything. We decided to walk. We don't live that far out of the center, about a 15-minute walk, so it seemed like the most logical choice at the time. We left the center around 2 in the morning, The way to our house is heavily populated, and there are always people on the streets. This night, however, it was quiet. We were about 5 minutes on the way when we spotted a guy on the opposite side of the street. He was looking at the shop windows, but also kept an eye on us. I suddenly felt very vulnerable, considering my boyfriend was walking on crutches, and me being quite small, 5'1". The guy walked in the opposite direction, but then walked back again, doing this a few times. I tried to walk faster, but my boyfriend couldn't keep up, so we had to keep quite a slow pace. All of a sudden, the guy crossed the road, really fast, in a straight line towards us. I'm small, but fierce, so I was ready to fight. When suddenly, around the corner, a homeless man came walking towards us and the man. He was shouting and cursing to no one in particular. Apparently, the homeless man had frightened the creepy guy so much, he immediately ran away. We walked away as quick as we could and kept looking back to see if the creepy guy had followed us, but we thankfully didn't see him again. I fully believe the creepy guy had bad intentions, maybe robbing us, maybe even worse, but I also believe that the homeless man saved us, intentional or not, and I am very grateful. It was about November 2012 in Houston, Texas. I was taking night classes to become a medical assistant. Trade school, only 8 months of school, Monday to Thursday nights, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. I was driving a Volkswagen Passat, kind of girly, I know. I just left school at about 10:15, had some homework I had questions over, blah blah blah. Had to stop at Walgreens for a prescription. There's really only one 24-hour Walgreens near my home, and it's right down the street from my school. I'm wearing royal blue scrubs, my student ID, and I'm tired. Getting my prescription in the back of the store, I'm not really paying attention to my surroundings. But then someone caught my eye. It was this guy. He kind of stood at the end of each aisle I was on, but I thought he was there doing the same thing I was. Anyway, I head up to the register because I had a few other items I had gotten, not just the prescription, and I realized this guy had walked right past me and is standing outside near the trash cans at the entrance. As I'm walking to my car, I see him pick up his phone, and he is watching me hardcore. I can kind of read his lips. He was describing my appearance, car, builds, all that to someone on the phone. So I get in my car, start it. He does the same. Now, it's worth noting, this Walgreens is 2 blocks away from the courthouse and the sheriff's office. I drive straight there once I get my shit together in my car. This guy followed me in his vehicle before realizing where I'm really going. The courthouse and sheriff's office is kind of in a crappy neighborhood, or at least on the edge of it. I park, run inside, ask to speak to an on-duty officer, explain what had happened and what was happening. He takes a statement from me. I describe the man in almost perfect detail, and he offers me an escort home. We drive home, him a few car lengths behind me, and we make it there with no hiccups or no reappearance from the guy in his shitty Toyota Corolla. I park in my driveway. He circles around my cul-de-sac, and when he gets back to my house, he calls me over to the patrol car. He had his laptop up with this guy's mugshot and record right there. Asks, "Is this him?" I nod, yeah. What he told me next still freaks me the absolute fuck out. As we were driving to my house, the other sheriffs in the area found him, pulled him over, searched the car, and found a young gal, about my age, 19 at the time, in his trunk. He was known in the area for quote-unquote pimping and was trying to get me as a possible prostitute of his. I'm not going to go into too many details because, duh, but at the time, I lived in a very well-to-do suburb of Houston. This kind of thing does not happen there, or should I say, the news does not report it there. So, creepy-ass pimp dude, let's not ever meet. Well, you're probably in prison now still. Hi, friends. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed these stories. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to hear more from me. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful night. Please take care of yourself and sweet dreams.